Hello, Feminine Road Mappers. It is Gina here, and today I have a special guest. This is his second time with us, Dr. Bradley Nelson. He is a retired holistic chiropractic physician and medical intuitive. He is also the author of The Emotion Code. Excuse me. His website is discoverhealing.com, and he has graciously agreed to come back today and talk some more about the power of the mind-body connection. So, Dr. Bradley, thank you so much for coming back.
Well, thank you for having me on. It's really great to be back, and I'm excited about today.
Oh, me too. The topic that you have for us today right now is a little bit above and beyond me, but I'm excited to learn about that subconscious mind and how it connects to optimal health. So without further ado, why don't you begin to tell us a little bit about our topic today, or you can just jump right in.
Well, absolutely. Our topic today is what's your body telling you? And what I mean is the subconscious mind will communicate to us through the body. And let's talk about what this means. Today, I thought we would talk about the secret language of the body and the 6 things that can go wrong in your body that can create problems for you that you probably are not aware of, and why we see a 99% chance that what may be causing your problems is different than what may be causing your neighbor's trouble, and how you can correct those causes in 4 simple steps. So this is me. I've been a holistic practitioner in one form or another since about 1988, master energy healer, creator of the body code system, and of course author of The Emotion Code, which we talked about last time. And first of all, I'm hoping that you're going to be interested in this and willing to interact and engage and raise your hand and use the chat and questions box. And if you do that, we'll try to interact with you. So just stay with us on this if you're serious about taking your energy healing knowledge to the next level. Okay. Here's what happened with me. I was diagnosed with kidney disease when I was 13 years old. There was no medical treatment for me, and nothing could really be done. I had about a 50-50 chance of surviving. But my parents didn't give up on me. They took me to see some alternative holistic doctors, and they started working with me. And in short order, I got better. And my parents took me back to the clinic and ran the tests. They ran the tests on me, and as I recall, they ran the tests twice. And they said, well, it's a spontaneous remission. It's remarkable. Whatever we did must have helped. But I knew that these holistic doctors had actually helped me, and they hadn't used any drugs or any surgery or anything like that. And they followed these same 4 simple steps that we're going to talk about today. And it worked. So what happened was I ended up devoting my life to learning about healing, and especially about energy healing. And I had a habit of asking for help from up above with everybody that I saw during all those years. I spent about 20 years really in one form of practice or another. And every time I'd go to work on somebody, I would just take a moment and pause and ask for help from up above, from that higher power, from God, from source energy, however you might refer to it. And I'll tell you, there were times in response to those offered prayers of mine, and this was a short, totally personal, totally private thing. No one ever knew that I was asking for help from anybody else or from up above, but I was. And there were times, Gina, when in response to those offered prayers, the information sometimes would just literally flood into my being like an avalanche of understanding and data. It's really an amazing thing. That didn't usually happen. But anyway, what I learned is that it's really, really simple. And I'm a great lover of simplicity. And so we believe in the power of the body and the mind. Your body and your mind are very much intricately connected. And your subconscious mind really controls your health. And you can find out, you can discover what your body needs by asking the subconscious mind using yes and no questions. And you can change your body's energy, and that can change how you feel. And this can even be done at a distance. There's no barrier. We have over 1,000 practitioners of the body code in about 37 or 38 countries now around the world. And most of them work with other people long distance, and it works. And so now you can discover that you also have this ability and this power, and you just need to discover that. So that's why we're talking today. I thought this would be interesting for your listeners. So A lot of the time we end up using things that are temporary cover-ups. Think about it. For example, if you've got low back pain like this person, you might go to a doctor and that doctor might prescribe some kind of a painkiller for you. But the painkiller is really covering up the pain, and the pain is not really the problem. The pain is just the body's way of communicating to you. And of course, medications usually have some kind of side effect, and many surgeries are preventable. And that's according to the studies that have been done by the American Medical Association itself. And maybe you've thought that there could be something else out there that might help you. Well, what we have found is there are really 4 reasons why people live with symptoms. One reason is that they accept limitations. People tend to believe things like, well, you know, my grandma had migraines and my mom had migraines and I have migraines, and so I guess there's just no way around this. Things like that. Or, you know, dad was really overweight and so I am too, and I guess that's just my lot in life. People accept those limitations without understanding or realizing that there are alternatives. Sometimes people have a lack of information. I remember once I worked on a patient, to give you an idea, that came into me because she had hurt her back lifting one of her kids. But she also had a migraine headache that had been going on for 3 weeks. She'd had migraines for 20 years. And as I was examining her, I found that she had an imbalance that was an underlying cause of the migraines. And when I corrected that imbalance, the migraine that she'd been taking 4 heavy-duty medications for 3 weeks was just instantly gone. And she came back to me, I don't know, a few days later or a week, maybe a week later, and she was actually really mad. She was mad. She wasn't mad at me. Migraines had not come back. Normally, this is a woman who had migraines constantly, pretty much every single day. And she was so mad because it was such an easy fix. One imbalance. In her case, it was a misalignment right at the base of her skull. We corrected that misaligned bone, and the migraines didn't come back. But I remember how furious she was, because over 20 years of time, every doctor that she'd seen had told her, oh, there's nothing really you can do, take these drugs. And so she had taken, she figured something like $100,000 worth of medication over 20 years. And she was mad because she was mad about all the time that she'd lost and all the time wasted and all those days spent in a dark room and so on. So sometimes we just don't know that there is an alternative, or that we might be able to help in some, be helped in some other way. Now, sometimes we just ignore our body's communication system. And really, discomfort of any kind is the way your body communicates to you that something else is wrong. So if you think about this, imagine you're driving your car down the freeway and the check engine light comes on. Well, you could put a piece of tape over that check engine light, thinking that the check engine light is the problem, right? Some people might even do that. I suppose that's been done. That's really, by and large, how Western medicine treats these communications from the body. Western medicine treats these communications from the body as the problem. And so they'll give you things that will suppress the symptom, but the symptom is not the problem. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does. It's so often the thing that we're focused on when you need to go back a few steps and figure out, why is your body telling you this?
Yes, exactly right. It's the most interesting thing. But that's what this work is really all about. So another reason why people ignore their problems is secondary gain. Sometimes, if we've got some kind of a condition, we're okay to keep the condition because maybe it gets us out of responsibilities, or maybe people give us more TLC or whatever. So you can look at your own issues in your life and ask yourself, are any of these things the reasons why maybe you've been continuing to live with these symptoms, with these communications from your subconscious? So here's the reality. We live in a world of both untruth and truth, right?
Yes.
And we like to believe, all of us, we like to believe that we're living our lives solely over in this truth sphere. But the reality of it is, most of us, I think just about all of us, have at least one foot in the untruth area. So So Gina, for example, in your life, have you ever come across something that you thought maybe was untrue that actually turned out to be true, or vice versa? That's happened to you, right?
Absolutely. Yes. I can totally see how, like we talk about mindset, the belief systems we have a lot of the times are founded in untruth. So I've totally been there.
Yeah, absolutely. And, and if our belief systems are based in untruth, it's really difficult to move over to here. But, we all spend our time kind of going back and forth to some degree. Well, I've learned some really powerful fundamental truths that I want to share with you now. One of these is that you are a being of pure energy, just like everything else in the universe. Okay, the chair you're sitting on, your house, the earth, the sun, the moon, the stars, everything is pure energy. And negative energies can affect us. And it can be easy to make changes in your body's energy to facilitate better health for you. So those are the three fundamental truths that I've learned. So let's talk about energy for a minute. Everything, of course, is made of energy. Thought is energy. Emotions are energy. Some energy takes the form of physical matter, like your body or your desk or your car. But some energy is invisible. And so what we have with these bodies of ours is really a dual nature. We're beings of pure energy because we have this invisible energy body within us that you can refer to as the spirit. Anciently, it was referred to as the ki or the chi or the prana, depending on where you were in the ancient world. But that part of us has been actually seen and measured for a long, long time. And then we also have this physical body that is also energy. So we really have this dual nature going on. In fact, with animals and people, they have found that at the moment of death, your body loses a certain small amount of weight. For human beings, it's always about 21 grams, not much, just a little bit. With animals, it's of course much less. But what I think is that that's just this invisible energy body that is leaving your physical body and moving on, right? So anyway, it's really fascinating. Scientists like Albert Einstein, 100 years ago or more, discovered that energy affects us, and because we're made of energy, we can be affected by other energies. So what we have is this 4-step formula to remove the actual causes of discomfort. Now, discomfort can be more than just physical pain, although physical pain is the most common kind of communication from the subconscious. So it's discover and expose and release and heal. So let's look at these. Step 1 is to discover that your discomfort is really probably just communication from your subconscious mind, and imbalances may very well be the root cause of that. So we're going to look at this in a minute. Step 2 is to expose, is to gain information about those imbalances. And we use this system that we call the body code. And I'm going to show you the body code in a minute here, and you'll get the idea how this works, because it's your subconscious mind that has all the answers. So all the information about what's causing your discomfort, what's causing your symptoms, could be located in your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is brilliant. It's really a genius. It's 99% or more of your intelligence. It's a massive database of information that knows everything about you. And it knows exactly what you need. I mean, imagine this. Imagine being diagnosed with some life-threatening disease and going into a hospital where they plug a computer into your own subconscious mind that then tells them exactly what the real, true underlying reasons are why you're having this problem. Imagine, wouldn't that be amazing?
That would be so amazing. And I think we would have leaps and bounds in improvement in results.
That'd be amazing. Well, that's exactly what the body code is. So how we get answers is through muscle testing. So you can think of muscle testing as our hotline to the subconscious mind, and we use it to get yes and no answers. So step 3 is to release. So once we identify and we expose some kind of an imbalance, we can get rid of that or correct that using a combination of energy, which is just intention, physics, which is the magnetic energy that we use, and science, which is the acupuncture system. Now, the release process can be done in just seconds. And then the last stage, which is the empowerment stage or the healing stage, is automatic. And steps 1 through 3 make conditions right for your body's natural ability to take over and restore things. Now, sometimes people get instant relief from discomfort. That happens. And then sometimes it takes longer. You never know. So what is the body code? Well, the body code is this powerful new energy healing technology. And it can be used to help anybody at any distance. And you can use it on yourself even. And you can use it with your loved ones. So that scenario that I talked about a minute ago, where you have some kind of a problem and you go in and they plug you into a computer that reads everything about your subconscious mind, which knows exactly what's wrong with you. That is exactly what this technology is. And it's being used worldwide now. It's being used worldwide in people's homes. It's also being used worldwide in clinics that are very much on the cutting edge of things. So the body code is simple enough for a child to use it, yet practitioners all over the world rely on it. And it's very simple, but it's a very powerful self-study course on energy healing. We believe it's the most powerful self-study course on energy healing that actually exists in the world. And the body code might also help you to relieve discomfort, live a happier, healthier life, prevent illness and disease, maybe create more love, find empowerment, and so on. So here's what I found when I was in practice, working with people of all ages for many years with all kinds of different problems. What I found was that there are really 6 different kinds of imbalances that all of my patients were suffering from. Some more of something than another, but to give you an idea how this can work, basically, if you look at this, these are 6 categories of imbalances. There's 6 kinds of things that can go wrong. We can develop pathogens in the body. These are little things, little infections, viruses, bacteria, fungal infections, mold infections, parasites that get into the body and set up housekeeping. If you have that going on in the body, if you've got infection, you need to get rid of those, right? Clearly. If you have some kind of a misalignment in the body, then that needs to get corrected because function follows form. And if you have a misalignment, of course, that's what chiropractic is based on, is correcting misaligned skeleton, bones in the skeleton primarily. But what I found is that any tissue in the body can actually become misaligned. Nutrition and lifestyle is another kind of imbalance. If you don't have enough of the right nutrients, if you're not getting enough sleep, if your pH is off, etc., you're not going to be as healthy as you could be. Toxicity is another one where it's hard to find a place now on Earth where you can't find toxicity. The Earth is really kind of poisoned, and we are too. And the foods that we eat, of course, many of those foods have toxins, especially if you're eating prepared foods, non-organic foods. But there's also toxicity in the air and the water and so on. So these need to be identified and gotten rid of, or they can cause symptoms, right? Another kind of imbalance is in the circuitry and the systems of the body. The body is very highly organized into circuits. Every organ, every gland has the equivalent of an electrical circuit. You have systems in the body, cardiovascular system, nervous system, and so on. And so imbalances in here can also create trouble. And then up here we have imbalances in the energies. So here, for example, is a trapped emotion. There are other kinds of imbalances in this area, but these are invisible kinds of imbalances that can affect us. So what we'll do, I think, at this point, if you like, is we can go ahead and we can maybe, if you'd like, we can work with you and give you an idea how this is done.
Yeah, let's go in.
All right.
You know, it's so interesting when you talk about energies. I think that particular topic is a little bit confused for people. So when you talk about energies in our body, we're just talking, that includes the electrical impulses and the way that we process emotion throughout our body. Is that correct?
Well, absolutely. See, everything is energy. And so
Right.
when you're thinking about something, you're creating a certain frequency of energy. When you're feeling a certain emotion, there's a certain energy that is associated with that, a certain frequency. Everything ultimately is energy. I mean,
It makes me think of, you know, when somebody says, I don't like the vibe of that person, right? When you come in contact with another person.
yeah.
I just think the word energies gets used, and I just wanted to kind of get a little more granular about when we talk about the energies in our body, we are talking about sometimes how we might feel a little bit off and people pick up on it, right? Like that's an energy.
Yeah, it's definitely an energy.
Yeah.
So well, let's take a look at this, and I'll show you how this is done. So the first thing that we like to do, if you're okay to for us to check you,
Yes.
we'll give your audience an idea how this is done and how it's done at a distance as well. So before we start, I'd like to just take a moment and ask for a little help from up above. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that just takes a moment, and that connects us to that higher power, because that's really, we believe, where all of this came from. And we believe that the highest duty of the healer is to act as a go-between for that higher power, right?
Yes.
So, all right, so let's see here. Do you have any particular kind of issue, any kind of symptom of anything that you'd like to maybe try to zero in on today?
Especially in the summer, my ankles swell quite a bit.
Okay.
That's something that's kind of happening. My hormones are shifting, so there's other things going on where sometimes, I get a little dizzy as my hormones shift, but I can't think of anything outside of those off the top of my head.
Okay, no worries. So let's take a look at that. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using muscle testing. Okay. And this is a method that we teach. It's called the ring and ring method. Okay. And so what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be acting as proxy for you. So the human body has this amazing ability built right into it to set aside its own needs to act on behalf of someone else. And so when I ask, and by the way, when I'm testing like this, you'll see if the rings stay together, that's a yes, because my body's a little bit stronger. If the answer coming from your subconscious mind is no, my body will be a little bit weaker and the rings will break. Okay.
Now, can I ask you a quick question? So we've been under a lot of stress for the last year, and I've recently been feeling very overwhelmed. Does that count as something if you're talking about issues?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
that's kind of the state where I'm at, and I'm not being as productive because I'm feeling like I can't figure out how to do it all. So if we're talking more like less physical expression and more just what's happening in my mind, I'm going to add that to the list in case that gives you a little more understanding.
So feeling a bit overwhelmed, right?
Yes, a lot of responsibility, yeah.
Well, what we can do is, first of all, let's find out if we're connected. In other words, in the same way that when you dial a cell phone and you're calling somebody, there's a connection that has to get made. Same thing here. It's a very advanced, amazing ability that the subconscious mind has to connect with someone else. And let's see if we've made that connection. So can I act as proxy for you? And I'm getting a yes, that's strong. Okay, so that means you and I are connected. And this connection is so absolute that my body basically has taken on and connected to your body to such an extent that if I were to say, for example, my name is Gina, I actually would get a yes. See that? My name is Brad. Temporarily, I'm getting a no. So it's like my whole being now has given up its focus to work on your behalf. So let's ask about this. Where does your subconscious mind want to go? Let's see. We've got these two different issues. We got the ankle swelling or maybe the overwhelm. Let's see where your subconscious wants to take us. Does your subconscious mind want to work with the ankle swelling? I get a no. With the overwhelm. All right, so let's take a look at that. So feeling kind of overwhelmed, like you're not really able to keep up with everything, right? Is there an underlying reason for that? And the answer is yes. Okay, so now what we do is we look at the chart and we've got these 6 different possibilities. Now your subconscious mind has just told us, yes, there is an underlying reason why you've been feeling kind of overwhelmed and not totally in control. Where is that reason now? So in other words, out of about 867 different nodes in the map, your subconscious mind is going to take us to the exact issue. Where is it? I don't know. I have no idea. So where's your subconscious mind taking us? Is it taking us to somewhere on the right side of this chart? No, it's on the left side. So is it somewhere in the toxicity area? It could be, but it's not. Is it something in circuits and systems? It could be, but it's not. So that means it's in the energies area. That's it. We'll go there. So is it something on the left side of this chart? So now we're down one level. We're looking at just the energetic imbalances. And is it something on the left side of the chart here? I get a no. So it could be one of these. Could it be addictive heart energy? That's one of the things that tends to drive addiction. That's not it. Is it some kind of an allergy or an intolerance? That's not it. So that means it's something emotional. So let's go here. And then this is what we talked about last week, right? Or 10 days ago or so, or a couple weeks ago, the emotion code. And this is the emotion code is part of the body code. So this imbalance, is this actually a trapped emotion? It is. So is this trapped emotion in column A? No. It's in column B. Is it in one of the odd rows? Yes. So we have 15 emotions left out of 60. We know it's in an odd row in column B. Is it in row 1 in column B? Is it in row 3 in column B? That's a yes. So it's one of these. Confusion, defensiveness, grief, or self-abuse, or stubbornness. Is it confusion? Is it defensiveness? Is it grief? Is it self-abuse? It's actually self-abuse. Now, self-abuse, self-abuse is an emotional state where you're being hard on yourself. Does that ring any kind of bell at all? None of us ever do this, right?
Well, you know, this is an amazing experience. Yes.
Yeah.
I do struggle with that.
Yeah.
And I did not tell you that. I have to be fully saying that I did not talk to you about that problem.
No, that's right. Well, and that's okay. So let's ask about this now. Do we need to know any more about this? Your subconscious mind says no. Now, when I say, do we need to know more about this? What I'm really asking is that I'm asking your subconscious mind, is there more we need to bring to conscious awareness about this before your subconscious mind will allow this to be released? And your subconscious mind says no. So we're going to go ahead and release this. Now, I'm just going to use my fingertips. I'm going to go over the governing meridian 3 times. Now, that's a meridian that starts at the tailbone, goes up over the top of the head to the inside of the upper lip. What we do is we just put a little magnetic energy with the hand or a magnet into that meridian, and it erases that trapped emotion. Now, there may be more, but let's ask, did we release that particular trapped emotion of self-abuse? And we did. Okay, good. So now let's go back out to the home page, and let's ask, is there another underlying reason why you've been feeling kind of overwhelmed and not totally in control? And the answer is yes. What's the reason? Is it on the right side of the chart? No. It's on the left side. So is it in the toxins area down here? No. Is it in circuits and systems? This time it's in circuits and systems. So we'll go here. So we have all the acupuncture systems here, all the meridians, all the organs and glands and chakras, and really just about the whole entire body is in here. So let's ask, what is this? Where's your subconscious taking us? Is it to something on the left side of the chart? Yes. Is it something in the acupuncture system? No. Is it a disconnection of some kind? Yes. So we'll go here. It's a disconnection. Now, check this out. Just as an aside, you'll see morning sickness on here, right? We have a daughter who's 19. My wife and I have 8 together, and our youngest is 19 now. But about 20 years ago, when my wife was carrying her, she was really sick with morning sickness, and she was begging me to help her. And so I was thinking of the normal things, you know, that everybody uses, and none of those really work very well.
No, they do not work.
So I prayed about this, and I just offered this short prayer. I said, Father, there's got to be a better way to look at this. Is there a better way to do this? And boom, I got this answer. And the answer was, well, you'd feel pretty sick too, basically. It was kind of almost whimsical, the answer, but it was like, you'd feel pretty sick too if you had some new life growing inside of you, especially if your brain wasn't connected to it. So I thought, oh, it's a connection thing. That was the answer. And so now we know that we can reconnect the mother to the baby. And when we do, the morning sickness just is gone. Sometimes it comes back and we might have to do it again a time or two, but usually 2 or 3 sessions and it just is gone. In fact, we have people around the world who specialize just in morning sickness now, treating it completely naturally, just reconnecting things. It's amazing.
Oh man, I needed this so bad.
Yeah. How many kids do you have?
I only have 2, but I had 3 pregnancies. I lost 1.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. But you were sick with all 3?
Yes.
Yeah, it can be just absolutely miserable. And you know,
It wasn't terrible. It was just a first trimester typical, you know, where the first 12 weeks, you're like, everything smells bad. But by the time I hit second trimester, the sickness would go away.
Well, it's really funny because in my experience, whenever I've worked with women who are having morning sickness, and we make these reconnections using the body code, they always say the same thing. the moment that we make the last reconnection, and these are all energetic connections, the morning sickness stops. And they always say, I'm starving, I'm going to go eat now, because it's really funny. But anyway, what we're tracking here is some kind of an imbalance that has to do with your feeling kind of overwhelmed, right?
Yes.
And it's somewhere on this page. Let's see what it is. I don't know. Is it something on the left side of this page? No. So it's over on the right side. So is this the spirit that is out of the body a little bit? That can happen, especially if you have something traumatic happen. Your spirit can kind of get, popped out of your body a little bit. That's not it. Is it a disconnection between your spirit and your physical? No. It's a spirit to spirit disconnection. That's what's going on. Now, okay, so let me explain this. This is really interesting. What happens is, we have this physical body, right? And then inside of us, we have this spiritual body, this chi, ki, prana, whatever you want to call it. If you were to take that spirit body out of your physical body and put it right next to you, I believe it would look exactly like you in the most minute detail. Now, what's going on with you, okay, is something that happens to a fair number of people, all right? If we were to actually do that, okay, if we could look into your physical body and look into your chest and look at your heart in there beating, it'd probably look like any other woman's heart your age, right? But if we were to look into that spirit instead and look at that spirit heart of yours, it would appear to be broken, okay? Because you have a broken heart. And this is not that uncommon. What happens to us is that, we go through life, and sometimes life is hard, and sometimes we're really deeply in love, and then it doesn't work, and we get rejected, or sometimes we get rejected by parents, or sometimes, who knows what happens. Sometimes people die. But at some point in your life, your heart broke. Now, this is a real thing, but it's not a physical thing. Your physical heart doesn't break. I mean, if it did, of course, you'd instantly be dead. But the spirit heart, it breaks. And then that affects the physical heart. Years and years and years down the road, I do believe that people will have physical symptoms from their heart if they've got a spiritual heart that's broken. So that's what's happening with you. So let's see if we can figure out what the underlying causes are, okay? So let's see. Are there underlying causes of this broken heart? Yes. And we have to fix those to be able to fix the heart. And those are usually in the energies area. They're usually emotional. And that's what we're finding here. So we have a trapped emotion in there. And what's this first emotion is listed in column A. It's in B. Is it in one of the odd rows? Is it in row 1? Okay, is this effort unreceived? No. Is it heartache? Okay, so this first emotion is heartache. And let's see when this happened, or do we need to know more about this? Actually, we do. So, Gina, how old are you right now? Are you 40?
52.
52, okay. Okay, so did this occur, this heartache emotion, your subconscious mind wants us to bring, to dig a little deeper with this one. Did this occur earlier than age 30? Yes. Earlier than 20? Yes. Earlier than 10? No. Between 10 and 20? Between 10 and 15, no. Around 16, around 17, around 18, 19, 20. I'm getting around age 20. Now you might have been, and by the way, I'll send the notes from this to you when we're done. I'll just type it up really quick, so you don't have to take notes. But age 20. Now you might have chronologically been 19, or you might have been 21, but it was right around in that time frame. Does that ring any kind of a bell at all?
1920.
Were you in a relationship, or?
My husband and I dated on and off from when I was 18 to 23 when we got married. Okay. But I was self-destructive in my relationships.
Okay.
So there was one other guy that I had a relationship with. Yeah. And I'm trying to remember, he was between 18, 19, maybe 19 when I was dating him. He was a great guy, just not the right.
No worries. Well, we've identified the time frame. Do we need to know more about this? Actually, we don't. So let's go ahead and we'll release this now. And I'm acting as proxy for you. So I'm releasing this on myself, right? And let's ask, did we release that? And we did. This was one of the underlying reasons for that spirit heart of yours to be, broken. So now let's ask, is there another underlying reason for this broken heart of yours? Yes. And is it a trapped emotion? It is. They almost always are trapped emotions for the broken heart. So is this first emotion in column A? Yes. Is it in one of the odd rows? No. So is it in row 2, row 4? It's in row 4, column A. Is the emotion anger? So we're right down here. Is the emotion anger? No. Is it bitterness? No. Is it guilt? No. Hatred? No. Is it resentment? Actually, no. Now, when we are taken to a column in a row and we can't identify the emotion, we ask, is this an inherited emotion? And the answer is yes. So you inherited this one. Actually, you've had this from conception. So what emotion is this? Is this an inherited emotion of anger? We get these from mom or dad at conception. It's not anger. Is it inherited bitterness? Inherited guilt? It's inherited guilt. Okay. An inherited emotion of guilt, which will tend to make you feel, more guilty maybe than you should. And so did you get this from your mom? No, it came from your dad. And did he get it from somebody earlier? Yes, from his dad. Yeah. Okay. So it came from your father's father. Does this go back further? It does. Does it go back 10 generations? No. 9? No. 8? It goes back 8 generations. So 8 generations, if we say 8 times 25.5 years for a generation is what they say. It's about 204 years minus 2019 comes out to about 1815. Approximately 1815 AD. So let's go ahead and let's release this. Now, to release an inherited trapped emotion, we go over the governing meridian, not 3 times, but 10 times, because in this case, we're releasing this inherited emotional energy, not only from you, but also in this case, from your dad and his dad and all those other ancestors all the way back. By the way, this originated with a male. This actually originated with a female. Guilt from a female back in your family tree, about 1815. So, and that was part of the reason why you had a broken heart. Now, see, animals, science is proving now, they're just doing the research now, that animals will pass traumatic memories somehow to their posterity. So that, for example, if you're an elk and in a certain area you're nearly killed by a bear, your posterity will know to avoid that spot for up to 14 generations. It's the same exact thing with human beings. And this is the reason why they've done studies with people who survived the Holocaust. They've done studies with their grandchildren, and they're finding that their markers for aging and stress are off the charts because of what their grandparents went through. See, this is exactly what's happening here. So did we release that? And that released from everybody all the way back? And it did. Okay, so let's go back to the broken heart, and let's ask, is there another underlying reason why that heart of yours has been broken? No. So that spirit heart of yours that was broken, we removed the underlying causes for that break, and is that spirit heart of yours still broken? No, it's back and whole and back together now. Now, I need to let you know that when we find things like this, and when we clear emotions and release things like this and fix things like this, there's a period of processing that you go through. It's kind of like if there's a truck parked on your foot, okay? I come along, I push the truck off your foot, and that's kind of a relief right away, but still your foot might throb for a few days, right? And so you may go through a little bit of a healing process for the next, 2 or 3 days where you may be kind of emotionally up and down a little bit, and that's okay. That's just echoes of these emotions that are being processed, and the healing's taking place. All right. Now, we're back to the home page. So we fixed the broken heart. Let's ask, is there another underlying reason why you've been feeling overwhelmed, maybe not able to handle everything, not able to be totally in control? I'm not getting anything. Is there anything hidden? No. But just to give you an idea, some of the things that we find in the body code are things like pathogens, And the great thing about the body code is that you can find these things where you may not find them in any other way. And there are recommendations in there for what to do as well. Connective tissues are in here. All the discs are in here, for example. All of the bones in the spine. In fact, even all of the bones in the skull. So you can use the body code, and it will take you. And all you need to know how to do is muscle testing. I mean, it's really, really simple. And the subconscious mind will take you to where a problem actually is, and then you can figure out what to do to fix it. And so, for example, even with nutrition, we use the same kind of chart that we use to find trapped emotions, and it works really amazingly well. So basically, let's see what else we've got in here. Toxicity, there's all kinds of toxins, of course, chemical, food additives, medical, vaccines, environmental things. But the beauty of it is that the body code can help you to find all of these things, and even the meridians in the body and so on. And it enables you to figure out what to do, and works really, really well. In fact, you can find things that you might not ever otherwise find, things like curses or even entities, which are just people, but they don't have bodies.
It's really interesting, the cording. So when we're thinking about how we're connected to other people, what is that kind of like, how people say, I need to just cut the cord with this person? What is that?
Yeah, exactly. Well, when people say things like that, that's coming from the deep subconscious, you see, because there's a phenomenon that we see where sometimes people are corded. I mean, think about it. It's natural to be corded, for example, to your children. You have an umbilical cord that connects to them, when they're in the womb. They cut the cord, the physical cord, but you can't really cut that energetic cord.
Right.
And so in a healthy relationship, what happens is that cord moves up to the heart. And so you're connected with a cord from your heart that goes to the heart of that child, right? But sometimes you're in a bad relationship, and maybe you have a cord to that person, but maybe that cord is going from your gut to their gut. So you just have garbage flowing in between. And this is one of the reasons why it's hard for people to move on to new relationships, is because sometimes they're corded to some old boyfriend or girlfriend, from 30 years ago. And that's why they can't seem to get them out of their mind. They can't seem to let go. It's really fascinating. And there's no limit. I mean, these cords are infinitely stretchable. So it doesn't matter where people go. So
it's kind of like if someone is hung up, we would use the term hung up on someone or something. It could be something on an emotional level where you're kind of, for lack of a better term, bonded to that person. You don't know it.
Well, it's easy to get rid of these cords. It's just part of what we find in the body code. But the body code enables people to find things that otherwise they just really would not be able to find really in any other way. So
when we talk about people's bodies and their emotions, these types of things, what are the range of symptoms that you come across? I mean, are we talking about somebody feeling pain in their body, like a knee ache, or their joints hurt, or you're literally physically talking about any kind of physical symptom could and often is potentially connected to something going on the emotional, mental level?
Well, very often, yes. I mean,
I know we can't say all of it, but what you're saying is this can be a solution for people who are having chronic issues.
Yeah, it can be. I mean, when I was in practice for all those years, I was a solo practitioner, just working with people of all ages who had all kinds of symptoms. And what I found, the number one thing that I found was that when I would ask their subconscious mind what they needed, what the underlying causes of their problem was, it would usually take me to emotional baggage. Once you start getting rid of that, then I found that about 80% of people's problems were actually related to their emotional luggage. Once you start getting rid of that, though, then other things start to show up. And so, like, for example, in the body code, to give you an idea, I routinely worked with people who'd been told there was no cure for them in Western medicine, people who had, serious problems that weren't getting better. And Western medicine would often give up on these people and just say, well, there's nothing that, nothing's ever going to be able to help you. all you can do is take these medications for the rest of your life. And those are the kind of people that I saw routinely, especially during the last 10 years of my practice. And what I found was that they were suffering from those imbalances that we were looking at, in the body code, those 6 kinds of imbalances.
Right.
And to give you an idea, for example, I'll show you really quick. Here we go. Let's see, I went a little bit too far. Here we go. Well, actually, let's just look at this. If we're looking at the body code, to give you an idea, I had a patient that came into me one time who was dealing with fibromyalgia. I had a lot of patients that had fibromyalgia, but this particular lady, I had met her at a fibromyalgia support group at a hospital. And I spoke for an hour about this, and she cried. The whole time I spoke, she just sat there and cried. And when I was done, she told me that she'd had fibromyalgia for about 20 years, and it was really bad. She said she cried every day because of the pain. And fibromyalgia, for those of you that don't know, is this condition where you get pain in the muscles of the body and doesn't go away. Fibromyalgia literally means pain in the muscles, and there's no known cause and no known cure, so people are put on medication. So she came into the office, and what I found going on with her was that she had all the imbalances possible, basically. She had pathogens. She had multiple different low-grade infections going on in the body, and low-grade infections oftentimes don't show up on medical testing. She had lots of misalignments. She had a lot of nutritional deficiencies. We had to put her on lots of different nutritional supplements. She had a lot of toxicity going on. We had to start detoxing her. All the organs and glands were short-circuited in her body. We had to work with all of those. She had lots of trapped emotions. And so my philosophy was to work with people like that by trying to address everything as rapidly as possible. And within 3 weeks, she was completely out of pain, except she had a little pain still in her thumb joint where she had some arthritis. But the rest of it was completely gone. Now, medically that seems impossible, but the reality of it is, you see, when somebody is dealing with that kind of discomfort, the body that's just all kinds of warning bells going off. It's lots of check engine lights that are going on saying, whoa, fix this, fix this, fix this, fix this. And if you fix those things, then people don't have to continue to live with their symptoms. So it's actually pretty simple. So anyway, the body code is a way that you can discover health and abundance and joy. And the nice thing about it is it's easy, and anybody can do it. You can get it at bodycodenow.com. That's the website, bodycodenow.com. So let's see here. Anyway, so what you get is you get this software that runs on Windows, Mac, and iPhone, and iPad, and Android phones and tablets, and you can access it online as well. So it's really great to be able to have this whole system in your phone, because once you learn how to use it, it can really change your life. And of course, also we have binders and manuals that go with it, and it's all available online. And it's a very, very complete program that I'm not going to go through all of these, but
no problem.
You get lots of stuff that comes with it, lots of videos and some bonuses about the heart wall and so on. And it's $9.97, and you get immediate access to the whole thing. And anyway, it's at bodycodenow.com. So
all right, I'll make sure.
Basically how it works, and it's changed a lot of people's lives around the world, and continues to do so. And it's changed, for example, the body code is used. Our body code practitioners actually go down to, they rotate in and out of the Santa Vive clinic down in Rosarito Beach in Mexico, one of the top cancer alternative clinics in the world. And, we don't sell the body code as a cure for anything, but imagine, go back to that scenario where you're not feeling well, you go to the hospital and they plug you into this new computer that actually accesses your subconscious computer, and it tells them exactly what you need in every way. That's the future, you see, but the future is now, because you can do that with the body code and you can learn how to do it yourself. It's actually really simple. So
it's interesting. I just interviewed a medical doctor, and she had, her body just went off the rails with an autoimmune problem. Mm-hmm. And it hit her like a Mack truck, and she was down for 2 years. And she was talking about how she as a medical doctor, did everything she was, quote, supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And she said she finally had to recognize that her healing and the solution to her situation was beyond Western medicine.
Yeah.
And that was very hard for her because we're very conditioned to rely on a go to the doctor with a symptom. Here's a solution, take this pill, and we literally expect it to go away. But I'm finding, especially, and I've never felt that way because I've had 2 different things happen to my body that no one could explain. You know, and they're just like, well, and then years later, I'll tell another doctor and they say, oh, you didn't hear him right. And I'm like, yes, I did. Like, they don't believe what I'm telling them because they don't understand. And here's the thing, I'm not knocking Western medicine. What I am saying is there's a partnership, I think, between Western medicine and Eastern medicine that's important.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
I would assume that. So if, for me, let's just investigate that for a moment. What does that kind of partnership look like? Because honestly, right now I'm caregiving for my mother-in-law. She's in a skilled nursing facility at the moment. She's okay. She's not strong, but it's always up the medicine, give them another medicine, and I'm busy going, but what is the problem? You know? She likes the quick solution, but it's not really a solution. So thinking about what you do may be very uncomfortable for some people. So I kind of would like to introduce that a little bit of how this can partner with Western medicine as opposed to vilifying Western medicine.
Well, right. I mean, there's always going to be a need for Western medicine. There will always be a need for drugs, for example. There's always going to be a need for surgery. There's always going to be a need for traumatic care. Western medicine absolutely excels without question at acute problems, right? I mean, they can do miraculous things. When my father had an aneurysm, they were able to go into the groin and insert a tiny little titanium ball that was like a little thread. They were able to thread that up through his heart, up into this broken, leaking artery in his brain, let go of it, where it reformed into this little teeny ball and actually plugged the leak. I mean, that kind of thing is just unbelievable, right? It's incredible technology. You know, if you don't get across the train track quite fast enough and your leg gets cut off, they can probably reattach it if you get to the hospital fast enough. And so you can keep it. I mean, it's unbelievable what they can do. But those are acute problems. Most of the time, Western medicine is really not very good at the long-term problems and the more chronic conditions you see. And most of the time, you don't need a drug. Most of the time, you don't need surgery. And those are the things that Western medicine has to offer. And those can be extremely appropriate at times. The problem is really that the pharmaceutical, you can call it the pharmaceutical industrial complex, really. The drug companies, big pharma, have so much money and so much power that they want to maintain their control at all costs. And they only make money if people are being prescribed drugs. And so it's a very corrupt system. Doctors will be wined and dined by the drug company representatives. And they'll say things like, well, you know, Dr. Smith, if you sell more, if you recommend more of this new drug than anybody else in town, you know, the winner is going to go on an all expenses paid vacation to Hawaii for 2 weeks. I mean, this is the kind of thing that goes on all the time. It's extremely corrupt. The problem is all of these drugs have all of these side effects. And so, yeah, it's a system. It's really an industrial system of not really of healing, but of sickness care. It's kind of like the industrial farm system, you know, the industrial farming or ranching, where cattle are raised in these stalls and they never really go anywhere else in a lot of these places, and they're fed other cattle in many cases. It's really sick. But, you know, it's kind of the same thing. I mean, it's a huge business. Anybody who has had cancer and who's been through the Western medical system absolutely will tell you that it is an amazing industrial machine that is designed to produce money and not necessarily to heal people.
That's really, it's so funny because we're kind of deep in that water right now. And it's fascinating to have interviewed a doctor who actually admitted that she went after her integrative medicine training.
Uh-huh.
And now she treads she treads the water on both sides of that line and finds that, the, like you said, there's certain things that Western medicine does really well. But when we're talking about chronic problems, the thing that draws me to you as a guest is because I instinctively understand that how my body has been affected by different emotional traumas and things that I've experienced. And I have fought hard to the best of my ability. And so I know that there are other people out there who need someone like you who can assure them that they don't have to live their life medicated. There could be another solution for them so that they could live a healthy and whole life, not a dependent life. Not, like I said, some people, I'm not a doctor, I don't prescribe medicine, but I do believe that our bodies are miraculous and they have this ability to heal when they're in the right, what would you call it, state.
Yeah, well, when you get rid of enough of those imbalances, let me give you an idea. I had let me just share this with you really quickly. I think you'll enjoy this. I had a patient that came to me once who had been hospitalized for 5 days for this pain in her abdomen, and they had run all the tests and everything was negative, and they finally released her and told her that they kind of thought it was maybe
probably acid indigestion or something.
Yeah, they released her. She was still really in a lot of pain. So she came into me on a Monday morning, and I checked her, used the body code, found some things and fixed some things, and did everything that I thought everything that I could do that day. So she came back in the next day, and she actually was getting worse. And one of the things I had found on the first day was that she needed chromium. And I didn't think anything about it, really. I thought it was just an incidental finding. So the next day she comes in, and she's really in excruciating pain. And I'm thinking, my gosh, they must have missed it. It's got to be appendicitis or something. And, this is really serious. But I used the body code, and it took me to nutrition and lifestyle. And it took me to foods, herbs, and nutrients. And it took me to nutrients. And it took me to this chart. And it took me to column B, row 1, right there, to chromium again. And then I remembered, oh, hey, we found this on you yesterday. Your body must really need this. I said, I have no idea why, but I want you to leave my office right now, go down the street to the health food store, buy some chromium, have them give you a cup of water, and open it up, take some right there. 20 minutes later, this woman is literally jumping up and down in my waiting room saying, I'm fixed. That totally stopped it. The instant that she took the chromium, the pain was gone. And she said, how did that work? And I said, I have no idea, but your body needed it. I still, to this day, I still don't have any idea why. But the beauty of it is, you see, finally we're in an age where the subconscious mind can start to communicate to us, where the body can have a voice and it can tell us what it actually needs, instead of just being sort of like a mute, trying to give us hand signals. And, we feel pain in different areas. Remember that the pain or the loneliness or the inability to maintain your checking account or whatever it might be, inability to find love or whatever, those are all symptoms, you see. They're all symptoms of imbalances going on in the body. And they're all check engine lights. And that's how we look at it. And so when you start to investigate that, you can figure out maybe what those underlying causes are and fix those, and then change your life.
When we talk about generational things, a Bible verse came to mind where it says, and the sins of the fathers will visit the children's children. And as you were talking about that, I thought, the Bible talks about the impact of our sins and challenges and how they do affect our children. Now, I understand how that works when a child is in utero. If you're under stress, the mom is under stress, or she's angry, how that can create chemical kind of changes in their body, which goes straight to the child because at that point they're in your body. But what I don't understand is how that comes down the generations from, I know it does, but I don't understand how that works. But it's really interesting that You know, it's so much more, so much bigger than what you and I can quote control and how we're behaving if we're affected by someone 8 generations back.
Yeah, well, the beautiful thing about the emotion code and the body code is that those inherited energies can be identified very easily and released very easily. Just like we did with you, we found that you had that inherited guilt from 8 generations back, from 1815. Well, it didn't take long to identify that or release that.
Right.
But yeah, it's just one of those things. It's another thing. It's another kind of imbalance that we're dealing with. In these lives that we're living. Or these inherited things, this inherited, especially inherited emotional baggage is the most common kind of thing that we see. But it's easy to find those and get rid of those. So,
is that connected to the idea of the DNA and the genomes and the epigenetics? Is it on that level?
Well, it certainly, we believe it does affect us on a DNA level. Yeah. And of course, it's all about epigenetics and very much intertwined with epigenetics, because as we, the whole genetics idea initially was that if you have a gene for breast cancer, for example, then you're going to get breast cancer. And so that's why people like Angelina Jolie, I guess, have had their breasts removed, as a preventive measure.
Right.
But now we know that just because you have a certain gene for something doesn't mean it's going to manifest. Now we know that there is something called epigenetics, right? That says, well, these genes that you have for these various problems, they may not manifest at all depending on what you go through. And now we believe what emotional baggage you have, what emotional baggage you've inherited, because these inherited emotions definitely affect the genome.
Yeah, there it is. Yes.
In our experience. Yeah. So releasing those can change the DNA, we believe, instantly, because it's all energy, see.
That's interesting. I do know another gal that I interviewed, she has the BRCA gene and it goes through her family. Are things like that even possible to shift?
Oh yeah, we've seen that happen. Absolutely. It's a new area really of exploration for us using these methods. But the bottom line is the subconscious mind of the individual knows exactly what's going on with the genome, and it knows all the genetic sequences. It's really pretty amazing. So this is the future, we think, is working with things that are genetic disorders and helping them. I mean, it's all possible. Anything is possible. Welcome to the 21st century.
That's interesting. And how do we help people who are so attached to the medical community and their pharmaceutical connections? Like my mother-in-law, she really does believe I feel something, I got to go to the doctor, and they never can find anything. And it's a very interesting struggle. So just real quick, thinking about what could you tell someone who really is afraid to let go of that pharmaceutical, not that you're telling them to stop taking their medications, but just shifting their mind to be open to potential, other options for themselves?
Well, I'll tell you, what I have found is that giving somebody a copy of the emotion code, will help to change people's mentality and help them to be open to more possibilities. There are some other great books out there. One of the classics, of course, Quantum Healing by Deepak Chopra. Another great book is The Biology of Belief, which is especially also about epigenetics by Bruce Lipton. There are a lot of great books out there. And I think that that's, in my experience, the best way to open someone's mind and heart to more possibilities is by giving them some more information.
Yeah. See, for me, because I'm a Christian, I'm more conservative. I know that there's a section of my audience that will be uncomfortable with some of these things because they feel so unusual. And I'm treading on water saying, I believe that we're designed for healing.
Right. Absolutely. Well, I'm a devout Christian too. And when I talk about prayer, I'm talking about prayer to God the Father in the name of Jesus Christ.
Yes.
And so And in fact, I believe that I'm on a mission from God, in a sense, really, to take this work to the world. These are answers to prayer, and have been answers to prayers for many, many people, taking this work to the world. Where we live, especially in America, we live in a state of propaganda, where we're propagandized constantly by the pharmaceutical companies, not only through commercials on TV, but also through TV shows that they fund and so on. It's just a continual barrage of propaganda that the medical approach is the only approach that's rational and true. Mm-hmm. But it's just not the case. Western medicine is great and has its uses, and they'll always be there, like we talked about. But then on the other hand, there are some other ways that also work.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. And the reason I wanted to bring it up with you, Dr. Brad, is because I have conversations, and I know that it makes some people uncomfortable because it is so different.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's different.
It is very different. But I want to thank you.
Yeah.
What was that?
Oh, I was just going to say, for most people that end up using the body code start with the emotion code, and they find out they're open enough to try it, and then they find out, oh my gosh, this actually does work, and suddenly their mind opens and their heart opens, and they start realizing what they're capable of. And then that's the beginning for most people.
Well, if we're suffering, I think that should be the clue that what we're doing is not working. And if we keep doing the same thing, expecting different results.
That's the definition of insanity.
There it is. There it is. All right. Well, Dr. Brad, I want to thank you so much again for coming on and sharing what God has given you to help heal people who are suffering. I greatly honor and appreciate that gift and your time.
Thank you, Gina. Have a great day.
Thanks, you too. Take care.